to Jags Drive Time with Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, and Brian Sexton. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
The best version of you guys are pretty damn good.
Hey, grab a hand, squeeze tonight.
Hey, be grateful that playing this great game that not many people get to play. Where you do it, the 904, and most importantly, who you get to do it with. This was Jags. Think about this. It's no good unless we build on it.
Stick together, know how to win. Know how to win. How do you win? Stick together, go get another one next week.
The first win in Jacksonville in nearly 2 seasons, and it was awesome. A huge upset over the Buffalo Bills, a 9-6 final score, and a defense that held the #1 scoring offense in the NFL to 2 field goals. It was unexpected. We did not think this was going to happen. We were realistic when we looked at this game. It was a shock to everyone, and it was a huge upset, the biggest upset in Jaguars history. We'll get to it later, but wow, what a win.
I just went and looked at different websites, where the NFL experts. I read, our final analysis. I couldn't find anybody that picked the Jaguars to win. I mean, why would you? Football is a game of matchups, and the matchups were distinctly in favor of the Bills with the #1 defense and an offense that was #1 in scoring and #6 in yards. I mean, you couldn't look at it on its face value and say, here's how the Jaguars win. And yet they did, and John, it's something we talk about all the time. It's because they played above the X's and O's. They didn't let the matchups beat them. They beat the matchups.
Yeah, and I think what nobody expected, including myself, is, it's the old saying. I forget the saying, but there is an old saying that if you can rush the passer, it trumps everything else in this league. Yep. And what I didn't expect was for the Jaguars to overwhelmingly win that matchup over and over again. I rewatched the game this morning, and sometimes when you see 4 sacks and some pressures, you look back at the game and it was just those 4 or 5 plays. From the start, the Jaguars pressured Josh Allen. He got 50 rushing yards, I think. 3 of them were on plays where he was pressured and scrambled. At least 7 times they could have gotten to him, probably 6 or 7 more. Miles Jack on the interception had great it was an impressive day rushing the passer against an offense that you didn't expect that to happen against. Although Josh Allen in the postgame said they expected to win it, and I kind of believe him. So,
well, here's one thing.
Why not? He had the greatest game in NFL history. Why didn't
and I know you got to get into big things, but look, sometimes you miss things in terms of looking at matchups as you go through the week because they were overwhelmingly in favor of the Bills.
Yeah.
But you miss the fact that they don't run the ball. They can't run the ball unless the quarterback is doing it, and that is an Achilles heel for them. They're so good in so many other places. The Jaguars didn't have to respect it, and credit Joe Cullen and his staff for coming up with a game plan that didn't worry about the run. They worried about getting to the quarterback, and they did.
And that was the theme of the game.
Yeah, it really was constant 100 miles per hour. They never took a play off, and that was the biggest thing you noticed. It was fun to watch. It was consistent. Finally, a consistent defensive effort.
But a week after, it was no fun to watch that Seattle game. From the early going, you just, oh, please, when is this over? To a game that was fun from start to finish and fun without a touchdown being scored.
Right.
Defense can be fun too.
It can, especially when it's playing well. Big thing one is a new energy. They look like they had no chance in Seattle, lifeless in Seattle last week against the Seahawks. This team looked totally different yesterday. This roster was not as talented as the Bills. We talked about it, but they played better than that roster. And the Jaguars just wanted it more.
One thing that I said, you can tell the difference. I was just looking on their sideline, and one thing I noticed, I was like, I don't think they had the same energy as us. I feel like if you feel like one team deserved this win, it's us, but you got to believe that. So one thing I kept preaching, now that everybody else, look on these sidelines, just watch how they walking around like they don't care. I said, they don't deserve this. Now show them why. So now we got to continue that momentum. You feel like you put so much into it, you deserve this. Go get it.
Big thing, too, is the other Josh Allen. It's been about 12, 13 hours, and I'm already a little tired about the whole other Josh Allen thing because now everyone's talking about it, and we've talked about it the entire week. But Josh Allen, the Jaguars' Josh Allen, was the absolute star of the show, where so much so that we're talking about his Pro Bowl votes post-game and rapid recap. And finally, we saw as a whole this defense put it together.
When we are on our stuff, we can be a really great defense, and it showed today. Our defensive line can go against any offensive line any time of the week. You know what I mean? Any offense, stop any run, stop any pass, and we did what we needed to do. And hopefully we got to capitalize this, get better Tuesday or Wednesday, and go out here with the mindset we got to beat the Colts.
And finally, big thing 3, like every Monday, is tracking Trevor Lawrence. Did not play particularly well, only threw for 118 yards, but the biggest thing is he didn't make big mistakes against the number 1 defense in the league. And more importantly, got a win finally in front of Jacksonville fans.
The fan base has been great. Obviously, this season hasn't gone exactly how you plan it. I love where we're at as a team right now, though. But they've been out here every week, filling the stadium, loud, making it a great environment. And it was nice to, we won one in London, but it was nice to win one in front of the home crowd, and they deserve that. It's been a while, so that was a lot of fun, and just proud of the guys, proud of the city. It's a good feeling.
There you have it. That is big things, and there was a theme in all the players' press conferences. It was such a huge upset, and there were so much emotions and so overwhelming that I thought, okay, they're going to really, hype this up. But really in the post-game press conferences, it was, yeah, this is great, but we're on to the Colts. We're on to next week. And that was really great to hear.
Well, they better be. I mean, the Colts, look, Buffalo to some degree didn't respect Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. The Colts will, because they're a division opponent, and because they've got this tape. And they're going to be able to look and go, we cannot let that happen. So you're not going to get an Indianapolis team that says, yeah, they're 2-6. Don't worry. Rookie quarterback. They're going to come and they're going to bring their A game. So you've got to bring your A game. So when Josh Allen says, we better build on this, they better build on that.
Yeah.
Right? One more thing. What stands out to me is in the postgame show, and you guys heard it last week, Josh Allen talked about how they played great defense. And yet the numbers didn't really back that up in Seattle, just on face value. Well, he was right. Right? Other than that first quarter, they really turned it on in the second half, and then yesterday was a continuation of that. And so I'm anxious to see this team in Indianapolis to see if we are watching a defense emerge. Because that team with Jonathan Taylor, who is going to become the NFL's leading rusher, he'll soon pass Derrick Henry. That team is really, they're powerful on offense too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was skeptical coming out of Seattle, and Urban Meyer talked about it, and Josh Allen talked about it, how they thought they were better defensively in the second half. And I said, well, you're down 24-0. Yeah. Who wouldn't be better? So I was thinking, let's see it again. Well, you saw it again against an offense that's better than Seattle. So credit to them. They need to do it once more for people to think it's a trend. Go ahead. I can see your.
Well, no. I was just gonna play into something that you were saying. And so the Bills had scored 30 or more points 5 of the last 6 games. Right. They only scored 26 against the Dolphins. But in that stretch, they beat the Texans 40-0. They beat the Dolphins 35-0. Mm-hmm. They'd averaged 36 points a game. When you look at what the Colts have done the last 5 weeks, it's remarkably similar. I mean, they put up 45 against the Jets last week. They have hung some points. So, I mean, now all of a sudden we're talking about a defense that can rush the passer. Can they cover? Can they cover Michael Pittman, right? Can they get T.Y. Hilton under control? We'll see.
Are we moving on? Big thing 3 is not. I mean, I know you got to hit the slopes. So we're
I'm cold, but I'm not as cold as you. I don't need the sleeves.
Oh gosh.
Trevor Lawrence did not play poorly yesterday. He didn't play great, but I got a lot of emails last night talking about Trevor, this. Nobody's open downfield on this team. He missed one late where he was under a blitz, under a lot of pressure. Marvin Jones that might ice the game. Other than that, if you can show me where this kid played bad, nobody opened downfield. I thought he played just okay, but he didn't lose in the game. So I thought Trevor Lawrence was fine yesterday for the record.
Well, first
He's
of all,
just getting no help. Yeah, that's more the story.
No. First of all, seeing him at the podium after the game talking about a win, and not that being C.J. Beathard talking about filling in for Trevor until he's back.
That's a win in itself.
That was good to see in and of itself. But look, I mean, until they have someone who can stretch the field at all, it's a 30-yard field. Your downfield threat right now is Dan Arnold, right? Nothing against Dan. I like him. He's been a great addition to this football team. Hats off to the Jaguars for getting him in that trade with C.J. Henderson. But you don't have anyone to stretch the field. It's why I keep bringing up the whole Odell Beckham Jr. thing. And we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But as a tool, right, to explain that this team has nothing that scares a defense down the field, They have nothing that scares anyone down the field. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
You have Dan Arnold yesterday as your leading receiver with 60 yards.
Laviska's not a downfield
Everything
threat.
else was 30 and below, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Teams are squatting 25 yards up the field and saying we're not worried.
Yeah, and even when they get those opportunities, we saw it again yesterday with the drop balls in crucial moments. It's like when you get those opportunities because they're so rare.
Jamal
make
Agnew
'em.
had the drop in the end zone that
Yeah.
would have iced the game, but he's a converted cornerback, special teams
Right.
guy.
He's not supposed to, we get that.
The fact that he's in that position is a great story, and it bodes well for him. Look, I mean, it was a great win. Shocking to people around the league for all the reasons that we've enumerated. It's still a team very much in construction and trying to put pieces together. So,
But even more impressive, they can get it done with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a job the defense did.
Absolutely. And that is big things when we come back. Some highlights from yesterday's huge upset over the Buffalo Bills on the Jaguars Hard Rock Sportsbook Digital Network.
Jags Drive Time is brought to you by TIAA Bank. Turn potential into progress. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
It's a fact. All cars will eventually break down. If you have CarShield, you can protect yourself from the high cost of auto repairs. And they're America's #1 auto protection company. Your transmission, engine, and car's computer system are all covered. Get the ultimate vehicle service protection. Call CarShield now at 800-471-1223. That's 800-471-1223.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com. Hard Rock Sportsbook is coming to Florida. Join the Seminole Tribe of Florida and Hard Rock for safe, trusted, and completely legal sports betting. Go to hardrocksportsbook.com to get all the latest details leading up to launch. Play remotely from anywhere in Florida, including on your phone or computer or in person at Seminole Casinos. Want great promotions like free bets, odds boosts, and bonuses? Hard Rock Sportsbook will have all your favorite bets and promotions. Hard Rock Sportsbook, the best place to be a Jaguars fan. Coming soon. Must be at least 21 and physically present in Florida to wager. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-800-522-4700.
Call CarShield now. If your car's at a manufacturer's warranty, don't get stuck with expensive mechanical and computer repairs. Call CarShield. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time. It is Monday after a huge win over the Buffalo Bills, a final score of 9-6, and it's time for highlights. We don't have many of them because it was a huge defensive effort. But let's go to the second quarter. Bills up by 3, and it is all defense. Jaguars looking to get the lead here.
Hyde is off to the races into Buffalo territory. This kick is on the way, and it is good.
That is a 55-yard field goal from Matthew Wright, and we'll get into some later highlights of Matthew Wright, but that was a storyline in itself. That was a roller coaster.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a roll of the dice because you're going to give the ball near midfield to Josh Allen and the Bills if he doesn't make it. And congratulations for him making it.
Yeah,
that was good.
We don't have to talk about that. All right, so it is a tie game with field goal offensive troubles making big plays, offense driving, and the defense has to bail them out and get extra possessions, kind of just the storyline of the game.
Handoff to Hyde. And Hyde nowhere to go. And then the ball comes out. Field goal range for Tyler Bass. Allen hit from behind. And there it is. A sack for Josh Allen against Josh Allen.
Carlos Hyde fumbles. You need the defense to make the play, and we've seen this now about 4 or 5 times in this game, is when you need the defense to show up. They did yesterday.
And the guy that we've all been waiting to see that dominant streak, right? We didn't get to see much of it last year because of the injury. And this year he's been waiting for some help, and on Sunday he got it from DeJuan Smoot.
Yeah, and I think Urban Meyer has talked about this a couple of times. I think it's a great point. Josh Allen took a lot of heat, or a little heat, early this season. People wondering if he was the guy that they drafted. It's really hard for an edge rusher to be great if there's not push up the middle. Yesterday, in the last couple of games, as they've gotten healthier and a little better in the middle, you've seen Josh Allen stand out more. To me, the key with Josh Allen is not that he had a great game yesterday, because pass rushers, sometimes the stats and the plays, you're sort of taking a chance with it. If it's there and you make it great, you can play great without that. 3 straight games now that he has made huge plays. It was 4 tackles for loss against Seattle. He played very well against Seattle. I love the consistency because it means this team might finally have a franchise guy on the defensive side of the ball that you can build around. He looks like that now.
Well, and credit to Roy Robertson-Harris and obviously Taven Bryan, because yesterday they mauled the pocket from the middle.
Absolutely. So now we go to the third quarter. It's tied 6-6. First drive of this quarter, and a big swing of momentum that you want to capitalize on.
Allen. Dangerous pass is picked off. Rudy Ford on the interception. And the same result. Another miss for Matthew Wright.
So that was Matthew Wright's third field goal attempt on that drive due to penalties. And maybe it's a question we asked Coach Meyer today was, did he get hurt when he got tackled and got that penalty? But yes, missed 3 field goal attempts on that drive.
Well, he came back and kicked a game winner later, so obviously he's not too injured. At that point you have to wonder, are the Jaguars going to be able to take advantage of the opportunities their defense gave them? That, by the way, was a huge interception. Remember, they were at the Jaguars' 25-yard line.
Yeah.
That was the first drive of the third quarter, and it felt like they had figured things out in the locker room, and it might be a different game, and Rudy Ford's play was enormous.
Yeah, when you win a game 9-6, you're playing on the edge a lot, and the Bills got right to the edge of field goal range, looked like they were getting ready to start compiling points multiple times, and either by the Bills' penalties, the Jaguars' defense got pushed back. So that's how you have to win that kind of a game. Also, a little bit of a credit to the coaching staff, which has gotten hammered around here the first few weeks. They kept saying all year, Rudy Ford. And there were some eye rolls of okay, come on. Rudy Ford came in, played big time yesterday. Sometimes maybe we listen to the coaches when they talk.
Yeah, he would always say, Coach Meyer would always say, he's more than a special teams player. We're like, yeah. We haven't seen it yet. Yeah, he was right.
Although, to his credit, Coach Meyer told us in the preseason that this was a guy who was the best coverage guy he had ever seen on special teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're seeing why. All right, so following drive of those missed field goals, you need the defense to step up again and hold the Bills to try to get a win here in Jacksonville.
2nd and 12. Play fake. Pressure's coming. Allen can't get away. Taven Bryan.
Do you bring an extra rusher from this second level here?
They do. Bills trying to pick it up. They can. Allen throws. Intercepted. It's Josh Allen. Intercepting Josh Allen.
That was awesome. Such a cool
play.
And
I had Josh on the Ozone podcast, which he didn't admit this after the game, but that was a big deal yesterday, him being on that show last week.
I was walking with him. I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah, so he downplayed the Josh Allen thing, and he downplayed it in the post game. But watch here, after he makes this play, points to his name with his thumb. That was pretty cool. Good for him, because as we all know, I think anybody who's dealt with Josh, good guy, wants it. And the theme of the Ozone podcast last week was basically he plays a position where you're measured often by individual numbers. But this is a guy who, when you talk to him, you can feel how much this team and wanting to get better and wanting to lead this franchise back means to him. It's hard to fake that. Not every player you talk to has it. He has it. So I thought it was cool for him to have that game within the context of a huge win for this franchise, especially 3 days after I talked to him on the Ozone podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a connection there.
It's big.
Are we done with highlights?
Yeah, we are.
Let me throw this out real quick before we move on to the next segment. The Jaguars at one point on offense were down no Cam Robinson, no Brandon Linder, no A.J. Cann, no DJ Chark,
no James Robinson.
I mean, they were down. There were a lot of key players on that side of the ball that were out of the game. So I was talking to some Bills folks last night, and they were lamenting the fact they were down a couple of players here or there. And I said, hey, you just got beat by a team that you think you're better than that was without a lot of players they were counting on.
Yeah.
It was a resounding performance after a really terrible showing in Seattle for an undermanned team that everyone thought was going to be overwhelmed to be the overwhelming force on Sunday. And John, you said something last night, and as I thought about it, you're right. In terms of upsets, this is one of the biggest upsets I can think of.
Well, it's my hot take, so I'll say.
So we'll make it cold now.
I'll save my hot take.
But how about you look at Walker Little, who was told to go in minutes before the game starts?
Sure.
You're dressing. You're gonna be on the sideline, but yeah, you're going against the number 1 defense in the NFL. Good luck.
Yeah, and he had some hiccups, as you would expect.
He gave up a sack,
but I thought overall he was okay for his first game. So we'll see where he goes. But the being down offensively the way they were, it was particularly impressive that they didn't give away anything.
Right.
And that was really their task. Urban said it in the postgame. And you felt it, that they got more conservative offensively as the game went on, because I think Urban and the coaching staff started going, well, look, anything offensively that's a mistake is going to kill this defense. Let's ride this good in-game feel on that front to do that.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. And that is hot takes after a big win over. Or that is highlights, not hot takes.
Hot takes is next.
Hot takes is coming up. Now that's a tease on the Jaguars Hard Rock Sportsbook digital network.
Jags Drive Time is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle, and Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
That sound is every driver's worst fear. How much will the repairs cost? Is it your engine, your transmission, or worse? A car breakdown could cost you thousands to repair, but not if you have CarShield. CarShield administrators pay your claims directly to the mechanic or dealer of your choice, saving you time and money. Call CarShield today before your next breakdown. Call 800-471-1223, 800-471-1223.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern Pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. Smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit vystarcu.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
Great defense piece is what saves the day. And we were hoping we'd have a great defense earlier in the year, and at times we didn't play great defense. But the last few games now, our defense has hung in there and done a heck of a job. And when you have injuries on offense, you have a young quarterback, you have this, you have that. Great defense is how you win games, and you complement each other. And I thought today was a perfect example of that.
This Jaguars defense gave the offense and rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence 3 extra possessions, and that is exactly what he needs to help him out. We've been talking about it for weeks, and we finally saw it come to fruition yesterday in a big win over the Buffalo Bills. It is now time for Hot Takes. Brian.
Well, let me play John for a moment for just a little cold water into this sizzling fire on defense. This is not a good tackling team. I have seen it in recent weeks where there are arm tackles, there are one-armed tackles, And yesterday there were a couple of instances, especially late in the game on that drive as they crossed midfield and were getting close to field goal range in the fourth quarter, where tackles were too easily broken. This team has to tackle better than they did if they want to play consistently good defense and put them down. And just as you watched the rewatch the tape this morning, you saw, I'm sure, that when the Bills players got to you, you didn't get extra yards. They were a really good tackling team, and perhaps it was because it contrasted so sharply that the Jaguars didn't tackle as well. They did in the offensive backfield, but up the field, they've got to do a better job at getting guys on the ground and not leaking extra yards.
I think you're right for the most part. No, I actually do. There's really not a huge but at the end of that. I did want to throw out some credit early in the game, and something I noticed this morning. 1st and goal on the 3 I think the Bills had early.
Yeah.
It was a point where you felt like if they scored, it could have given them the confidence of this is what the game's supposed to be. This is how it's going to be.
They tackled well there.
Adam Gotsis made a big play that I think Josh Allen cleaned up on and got a huge loss there. And then Miles Jack on the left side
Cole Beasley
on a pass had Miles has taken some criticism this year. That play, those couple of plays, I thought really set the tone. I thought late they absolutely missed some tackles. At the same time, this is a really good Bills receiving core. That's what they do.
It was Singletary, the running back out of the backfield on consecutive plays that got them into a position at the 43-yard line.
Yeah.
They were getting dangerously close, and they didn't have to get that close. And it was because guys were reaching with one hand or they just weren't tackling very well. And it was because the Bills' defense is so good. And they were making tackles, and guys were going down when they made contact. That's the next level for this team.
Yeah.
They've got to get guys down and not leak those extra yards that make it a 47-yard field goal instead of a 54, right? Because that's a big difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference.
You had that anxious feeling the entire game.
It
was just on edge the entire game.
It was a tremendous game. And, 3 straight weeks now of improvement on defense. That's the next level.
All right, John, what do you got for us?
Well, I believe that this was the biggest upset in franchise history. I don't think it's the most important game in franchise history. Yeah, the
Broncos, the
2 upsets in '96, and the Bills. Those 2 are still the quote biggest upsets. But when you consider how well the Bills were playing, and you consider that the Jaguars were coming off one of the, I would say one of the 3 or 4 worst performances I've seen since I've been back, and they come out number 1 defense, number 1 scoring offense, number 1 defense across the board, and win this game, I would put it up there with 6-0 over the Colts in 2018, which nobody expected.
Right.
The Colts game last year. There was a Steelers game. There was a Ravens game in 2011 that they played out of their mind. But remember, in all those seasons, they had been at least a little bit functional.
Right.
And that's why I think you have to take the playoff wins out of it. They were in the playoffs those years. So they were at least functional. They looked dysfunctional against a team that I still think has a chance to win the Super Bowl. This was ginormous, Schlent.
Ginormous.
It was ginormous.
Well, I went back and looked, and so from a regular season perspective, you're right. This is a huge win.
Now, they've been more outmanned than they were yesterday, but they always lost the games.
Right.
They actually won this one.
Right.
Yeah. Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Now that's
For
an
a
upset.
regular season game, I don't know that I could argue that.
All right.
Maybe the Steelers in '95. But the Steelers were struggling. I mean, they're going to go way old school. So this probably before you were born. But
no, I think she's probably 5 or 6 months old.
They
April of '95.
I remember that game
They
well.
beat the Steelers in '95
bet.
as an expansion team,
Neil O'Donnell,
which at the time was shocking. But the Steelers weren't playing that well going into that game, and the Jaguars had already won. So that was pretty big.
They were in the middle of a little swoon there. They won. They beat the Oilers. They came home. They got beat by the Bears. Then they beat the Steelers and the Browns. They won 3 of 4.
Vaughn Dunbar game.
They were playing as Mickey Washington. Now we're really going back.
Yeah, I
Pulling
have no
names
idea
out.
what's going on.
But in terms of regular season upset wins,
it was huge.
Yeah, yesterday it's the biggest. You're right.
It was the biggest, and my hot take is this was the classic case of one team underestimating the other. I was curious to hear what the Buffalo Bills would say post-game, so I listened to Josh Allen, Bills quarterback Josh Allen's press conference, and he said, for lack of a better term, we played like poop today. and the Jaguars wanted it more.
And potty mouth.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. And I don't blame them because they watched the film from the Seahawks game and they saw a Jaguars team that looked totally different than what we saw yesterday. So I don't want to say I don't blame them for being underprepared, but they just weren't prepared for what this Jaguars team was yesterday, which was a great defense, and you saw unique blitz packages. And yes, the Bills were underprepared. I think it was just as much the Jaguars playing well as it was the Bills not coming to play yesterday.
The players said it in the Bills locker room yesterday, and they sounded like they meant it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you can't just show up on Sundays.
Nope.
You can't. Not in this league. And we learn it over and over and over. They showed up, very talented. I mean, you saw the Bills fans everywhere, and you thought, oh, boy, this could be a long day.
For sure, yeah.
But it wasn't, because the Jaguars, as the Bills players said, wanted it more, and it was obvious.
It will be very interesting. I know we're ready to move on. The Bills, their inability to run or even really try to run surprised me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, they're moving on. We won't talk about them much anymore. You wonder if the Jaguars found some sort of blueprint that the Bills are going to have to fix, because they're very one-dimensional, and I think they really played into the Jaguars' hands. Credit to the coaching staff and the players for taking advantage of that in such a big way, but that's a little bit of a red flag.
By the way, one more thing that bears mentioning. The Titans went out to L.A. last night, and they, without Derrick Henry, people wondered.
Great game, yeah.
But they won the same way the Jaguars did, right? Because, I think they had 194 yards of offense, and the quarterback turned the ball over a couple of times for the Titans. And they didn't run. I think they ran for 70 yards. They did it with takeaways.
Yeah.
They did it with sacks and pressure and takeaways and a pick six. That's how you win games you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
You win games where you're overmatched by going and punching them in the mouth with your defense and making plays and taking the ball away and pressuring the quarterback. So that's what this team has to do if they want to win in Indy on Sunday.
Yeah, they rattled Matthew Stafford. He was all over the place.
They opened up a can of whoop.
Yep, that they did. All right, before we go, let's recognize JEA's lineman of the game. How could it go to anyone else but Josh Allen? Incredible game. We're talking about Pro Bowl. We're talking about All-Pro. We can't chill out. We'll chill out maybe in a week or so. But he is our JEA lineman of the game, and let's recognize our JEA frontline team of the game. The Jacksonville Jaguars would like to thank JEA's frontline teams for all they do to help our community thrive. Please help us recognize JEA's frontline team of the game: Rachel, Sandra, Justin, Elvia, and Janelle, the 2,000 employees who work hard to serve you each and every day. We'll be back on Jaguars Drive Time.
It's a fact. All cars will eventually break down. If you have CarShield, you can protect yourself from the high cost of auto repairs. And they're America's #1 auto protection company. Your transmission, engine, and car's computer system are all covered. Get the ultimate vehicle service protection. Call CarShield now at 800-471-1223. That's 800-471-1223.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $millions to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit vystarcu.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
Legal sports betting is here in Florida. Go to hardrocksportsbook.com for the latest details. Must be 21 and physically present in Florida to wager. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-800-522-4700. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time. And speaking of Hard Rock, it is time for the Hard Rock Line of the Week. And who would have thought it would involve Taven Bryan? Taven Bryan had 2 sacks against the Bills yesterday. He had 3.5 sacks in his previous 54 games. We all know Taven Bryan has not led up to that huge first-round draft pick stock. Are we buying or selling this, Brian?
Depends on
that
how
he's
much...
improving.
Well, no,
he's getting there.
Well, I mean, how can you argue with that based on what he did yesterday? If you're asking if I'm buying, because he's obviously in the last year of his deal here, if the price is right, I mean, he's a big, strong guy. I think Dewan Smoot told you it best. He said, when you just ask him to go forward, you can't stop him. Okay. Well, guys that are that big and strong and athletic are tough to find.
Mm-hmm.
If the price is right, I'm buying.
I guess I'll buy, and I'm not trying to discount it. I just, after 4 years of general inconsistency, I'm fired up for him that he got 2 sacks.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's good for him. Everything you hear from teammates is that he works hard, likable in the locker room. He's not overly media friendly. He's been criticized a lot, so there's not really a relationship there with people outside very much. So good for him. I can't buy in terms of him being around for the long term. I doubt that happens because it just doesn't feel like that's going to be a thing. But good for him that he had this game.
Yeah, I think you just need to see more consistency from him. I mean, he can now go grab this season. If the case is that he just needs to go forward, okay, well then go forward and be consistent the rest of this year and make the storyline. But we haven't seen enough from him to be able to say we can confidently buy.
It also strikes you that maybe the fact they're not a very good running team, Bills, maybe just told him, hey, Taven, go get the quarterback.
Well,
and
okay,
he got it.
I'll say this, and I'm not overvaluing him, right? I mean, it's been a disappointment. 2 years ago, remember, he had that strong performance at the end of the season against the Colts, and you thought, okay.
He's getting it.
And then he was nowhere last year. So, I mean, I know where he's been and what he's got. But how many guys do you know that can take down Josh Allen, almost 6'6" and 245 pounds with one arm, right? And didn't even use his hand. He just knocked him down.
Yeah.
There aren't that many big, strong guys like that. Like I said, if the price is right,
yeah,
it probably won't be. But that's why they tried to catch lightning in a bottle with him a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. They saw all the measurables, and we know there have been throughout history in the NFL guys who measure well but don't perform well, and he's been that guy.
Yep. This also does.
Go ahead.
This speaks to a misconception sometimes, as you guys can imagine. Email after email. Why is Taven Bryan on the team? Well, Taven Bryan's on the team because even though, as Ashlyn said, he hasn't lived up to first-round draft status. No. But you don't concern yourself with that when you're building a roster. You concern yourself with, is this guy better than somebody I can bring in? He is a very good reserve player for this team, and that was why they kept him, even though he's not, the shiny number one draft pick. No. But he deserved to be on this team. He will deserve to be on this team the rest of the season. We'll see what happens in the offseason.
Fair enough. All right, I'm liking it. That was the line of the week presented by Hard Rock, and that is our show, Jaguars Drive Time on a Monday. Stay tuned. Head coach Urban Meyer meets the media at 2 o'clock this afternoon. You can watch it on jaguars.com/live. We'll be back here Wednesday morning on Jaguars Drive Time.